50 past the hour now, and new fallout in the wake of a significant Supreme Court ruling this week. Republicans are now taking aim at Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a Trump appointee, after she joined the court's liberal justices to reject the Trump administration's freeze on foreign aid. The 5-4 decision allows USAID to restart nearly $2 billion in payments. Joining us now, NBC's Lawrence Hurley and Christy Greenberg, former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst. Lawrence, just first set the scene for us here. Why is Trump world turning on Justice Amy Coney Barrett? I'll be honest, when I was covering her confirmation battle, I couldn't have fathomed that we would end up here.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to remember is that they're not turning on her for voting to overturn Roe v. Wade. They're not turning on her for expanding gun rights, for ending affirmative action in college admissions, and all these other rulings where she's been a staunch conservative vote on the court. What they're turning on her for, as this USAID ruling showed, is that she's not fully aligned with the Trump agenda 100% of the time. So for some loud voices online who have a lot of followers, 100% is all that's needed, not 95%, and that's kind of where we are right now.
They are very loud voices. But Christy, remind here of what this ruling even was, because it was $2 billion in payments to USAID, but for contractors who had already done the work.
Right. The district court here issued a temporary order saying that essentially the president can't seize money that Congress had already directed him to spend for work that was already done. And all the Supreme Court did here is ask the district court, hey, clarify that order. They didn't disturb this temporary order. That's not to say they couldn't later. They just left it in place for the time being. And that's not such an extraordinary, act to do. And I think it really signals that at least Justice Barrett and Justice Roberts, they're not all that pleased with the president of the United States talking about defying federal court orders. And this may signal at least some solidarity with a lower court in saying that the government can't just ignore lower court orders, that they need to follow those. The one thing I will also say is that when you look at some of the criticism online, it is ugly. And it is all about the fact that she is weak, she is timid, she's bitter, she's a DEI hire. These are very gendered criticisms of Justice Barrett. And given how that she, as Laura said, she hasn't really done anything to undermine her conservative credentials here, those seem wildly inappropriate and out of line.
Well, I'm glad that you bring this up, because I want to drill a little deeper here. Bring back up the graphic on the screen of the way that this vote actually broke down, and you'll see that Justice Coney Barrett is on the same side of this equation as the Chief Justice John Roberts, and yet she is the one being called a DEI hire, evil, a closet Democrat. Those are direct quotes. So what do you think is behind that? I mean, is this just the latent misogyny that all of us have covered within Trump world right now, the undercurrent of it that is just so palpable online? Christy?
I agree completely with that. The one other thing I would say is they also, I think the difference between Justice Barrett and Justice Roberts is that Trump appointed Justice Barrett or nominated her. And so I think given that, they expect that essentially she was going to be bought and paid for. And that's just not how it works. She's showing that she's independent. She's showing that she is willing to evaluate each case on its own and not necessarily always vote for Trump's interests. And that's what anybody would expect of a good justice. The fact that this is a problem for conservatives online really speaks more to their issues than those of Justice Barrett.
Yeah, and yet it also speaks to the way that MAGA world has operated and the way that Trump likes it, which is if you're on the team, you're loyal. And when you're not, that's when we start having problems. And certainly this ecosystem online fosters that. But we're watching it now spill over. Lawrence Hurley and Christy Greenberg, thank you both for bringing your expertise on this issue.